They say the knock always comes at night, not frantic, not urgent, just steady, patient. When you open the door, you'll see them. Two children, pale, still, waiting in the dark. They ask for help. They want to come inside. But if you make the mistake of letting them in, you won't walk away the same. Stories of the black-eyed children have spread across the world, whispered in online forums, swapped between truckers on lonely highways, and shared in late-night podcasts. They look like normal kids at first, until you notice their eyes, completely black, like ink poured over the whites. No pupils, no soul, just emptiness. The first widely reported encounter came from Texas in the 1990s. A journalist named Brian Bethel was sitting in his car one night when two boys approached his window. They wanted a ride to the movie theater. At first, he almost unlocked the door, but something in his gut screamed at him to stop. Then he saw their eyes, pitch black. He drove away as fast as he could. That story went viral, and since then, the sightings haven't stopped. Let me tell you one of the most chilling cases. In Vermont, 2014, a couple was woken in the middle of the night by a knock on the door. Outside, two children were waiting in the snow. A boy and a girl, maybe 8 or 9 years old. They didn't look cold. They didn't even shiver. The children spoke softly in unison. "Please, may we come inside? Our parents will be here soon." The wife hesitated, but the husband let them in. He thought they were just lost kids. The moment they entered, everything felt wrong. The cats hid under furniture, hissing violently. The husband suddenly felt dizzy. His nose started bleeding. That's when the wife finally noticed their faces, their eyes completely black. The children sat silently until, at last, they whispered, "Our parents are here." They stood up and walked out. At the end of the driveway, a black car waited, engine running. A tall man stepped out, pale as the moon, and opened the door. The children climbed in, and the car disappeared into the night. The husband would later be diagnosed with aggressive cancer. The wife believed the encounter cursed their lives forever. Another story comes from a teenage girl who was babysitting her younger cousins. It was past midnight when there was a knock at the door. Peering through the peephole, she saw two kids, maybe 12 years old, standing on the porch. They said they needed to use the phone. Their voices were flat, robotic, as if rehearsed. The girl almost opened the door, but then her cousins ran to the hallway. The little boy screamed, pointing at the door, saying, "Don't let them in. Their eyes, their eyes are wrong." Shaken, the babysitter asked who their parents were. The children tilted their heads in unison and repeated, "Let us in." She backed away, calling the police. But when the officers arrived, the porch was empty. All they found were two small sets of footprints in the snow, leading away into the woods. The trail stopped suddenly, as if the children had vanished into thin air. One of the most terrifying encounters came from a man driving through rural Arkansas. He stopped at a rest area late at night, the kind of place where the lights buzz and the silence feels heavy. As he sat in his truck, a knock came at the window. Two kids stood outside, a boy and a girl, maybe 10 years old, dressed strangely like clothing from decades past. They asked for a ride, saying their mother would be waiting. The man felt a sudden, overwhelming dread. He described it like being prey, staring into the eyes of a predator. And then he noticed their eyes. Black, solid black. He turned the key and sped away. In his rearview mirror, he swore he saw them standing in the middle of the road, staring after him, their faces glowing faintly in the red tail lights. When he pulled into the next gas station, he stepped out to calm down, and that's when he noticed something horrifying. Small, wet handprints on the back window of his truck. These encounters may sound different, but the rules are always the same. The children always come at night. They always ask to be let in. They cannot enter unless given permission. And every story ends with the same feeling: terror, dread, and an unshakable sense that you've brushed up against something not human. The pattern is too consistent, too deliberate. They aren't random hallucinations, they're following rules. So what are they? Some say they're demons, hiding behind childlike faces, feeding on fear. Others claim they're extraterrestrials, testing human reactions, disguising themselves poorly in childlike bodies. Paranormal researchers suggest they're spirits of children who died tragically, twisted into something darker. And skeptics, they think it's just an urban legend that spread like wildfire online, a modern myth born from creepy pasta. But if it's just a story, why do people across the world keep reporting the same details? Why do they always describe the same black, soulless eyes? So, what would you do? You're sitting at home late at night, the house is quiet, and then knock, knock. You look out the window and two children are standing in the dark. They ask to come inside. Their voices are calm, too calm. Would you open the door or would you keep it locked and pray they don't come back? If you enjoyed this story, subscribe for more legends and haunted tales from around the world.